So 2024 is coming to an end very soon, and with that it is time again for me to make an updated camera bag video. And I'm actually gonna do two videos this time. First, today I'm doing my street photography camera bag video, and soon I might also make a macro photography camera bag video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Micael Widell. Welcome. I've been doing videos about street photography and macro photography on YouTube for more than 7 years. If that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing. Now let's get on with the video. Let's talk about street photography camera gear and what I'm currently using and loving. Of course, this changes constantly. I am almost 100% certain that I will have made some changes to this kit 1 year from now. But this is just a snapshot of what I've been using for the last few weeks and what I love using the most. First of all, let's talk about the bag itself. I have a pretty decent collection of camera bags of different sizes and formats for different occasions. But for street photography, I pretty much always bring this bag that I picked up a few months ago, and I have really been loving it. This is Fjällräven, a Swedish brand. It means Arctic fox, quite literally. And I think it is sold all over the world. This is just like a simple sling bag, which is very lightweight. It cost me around $70. It has one compartment here where I can have like batteries and stuff, and then one rather large compartment where I can fit easily a camera and a pretty chunky lens and even an extra lens. It is quite roomy despite being so compact. And we also have like a zippered pocket here at the back where you can have like a passport or your wallet or something, or your phone. I really love this bag. I've been trying several different kinds of sling bags, and this is by far my favorite. I love that you just have a very simple and quick zipper to access your camera. Many camera bags have this kind of flaps that go over them that makes it very complicated to bring out your camera. I think a simple zipper like this is perfect. Also love this little handle here that you can use to carry the bag when you're not having it around your shoulder. The bag is also very convenient to carry. It is convenient to carry it both in the front like this or in the back or something in between. And yeah, I just love this bag. It comes in several different colors as shown right here, and yeah, I can warmly recommend it. Next up, let's talk about my main camera for street photography, which for the last few weeks has been the Sony A9 Mark II. I bought this camera used from MPB. I really love MPB. It wasn't too expensive. I made actually a separate video about this camera. Main reason I love it so much is that it is completely quiet if you want it to be. It has a very fast readout speed, so you can use the electronic shutter even for like fast action. The camera is also very fast. When I shoot in burst, it is incredibly fast, and you have this nice little wheel here to change what kind of burst mode you want to use. Another thing I love about this camera is that the EVF is really good. It's very easy to review photos quickly and see if you took a good photo or not out in the field. And for a period of time I was actually using the much more compact Sony A7C II, which I still own. But despite that one being more compact and lightweight, something I value a lot, I still prefer using the Sony A9 Mark II. And I think the reason is that the viewfinder is a lot better, and also that you have the option to be completely silent. It's not always needed, but it's nice to have, especially when doing street photography, I think. So yeah, I really love this camera. And since I love it so much, I bought this like an experiment. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. I'm actually considering maybe upgrading it to either a Sony A1 Mark I or a Sony A9 Mark III. But those cameras are pretty expensive, so I'm not sure if I will make that jump. I'm super happy with this one, and I can warmly recommend it. And I recently bought this thing here. This is the Peak Design cuff. It's a simple strap, so you can have it around your hand like this, so you don't lose the camera. And I really like it. It is super strong. It feels like that. This is like seatbelt material, and you can of course easily detach it from your camera, and of course also use this thing with other Peak Design straps. I also like the Peak Design leash that you can use to hang your camera around your neck. But actually when doing street photography, I prefer this kind of strap because I prefer walking around with the camera in my hands at all times, because then I will not miss any quick photo opportunities. It actually makes a surprisingly big difference between having the camera hang around your neck like this and actually having it in your hand with your finger on the shutter button. You should try it if you haven't. For some reason it makes me, at least, take more photos, and that way I get more good photos. Another nice little feature of the Peak Design cuff is that when you have detached it from the camera, you can actually, let's see here, you can actually put it around your wrist like this, because it has a magnet here, so it can attach to itself like this, and you can have it as nice little wristband like this when you're not using it, and then when you decide to use it again, you can just simply attach it to your camera. When it comes to lenses for Sony E-mount, I have a lot of them, but I wanna underscore two lenses that I love the most for street photography, and the main one that I use the most is the Samyang 75mm f1.8. I made a whole video earlier about why I think this lens is such a great purchase and why I love it so much. It's mostly that it is super compact for the 75mm f1.8 max aperture. It's also super lightweight because it's made out of plastic, which I don't mind. And also, of course, it renders beautiful photos with shallow depth of field, despite being such a small lens. I really, really love this lens, and on top of that, it is super cheap. Another lens that is similar and that I also love a lot is this one. This is the Samyang 45mm f1.8. And as you can see, it is a little bit smaller than the 75mm, but it's not a huge difference. But this lens is super nice on the occasions where I want a bit of a wider focal length, but still similar, very nice rendering. This lens is also affordable, takes beautiful photos, and I can also warmly recommend this lens for street photography and for any kind of all-round photography. The only flaw of this lens is that the minimum focusing distance is pretty long, so it's not good for macro photography or anything close to that. Otherwise, I really, really love this lens. Super nice. But on some occasions, I don't want to bring my big heavy camera with me, and in those cases, I can warmly recommend the Ricoh GR3X, which is my mini camera of choice. And it is truly pocketable. It turns on extremely quickly, as you can see. And it is very lightweight, takes beautiful photos, the lens is extremely sharp. Yeah, this is pretty much a perfect camera if you want something pocketable. I made a comparison earlier in a video between this camera and the Fuji X100V, which I bought and had for a while. And the main strength of the Fuji X100V is that it has a viewfinder. This camera does not have a viewfinder, and that is the biggest problem with this camera. But I actually kind of remedied that flaw because I bought this. This is the GV3. This tiny viewfinder, tiny optical viewfinder that you put in the hot shoe here. And then you have 40mm frame lines, which fit with this camera's focal length. And I would say that even though you don't see like where the focusing points are, or you don't have like depth of field preview or anything like that, because this is just a dumb, simple optical viewfinder, I still find it very useful, because what I usually want a viewfinder for is to simply frame the shot and see how it's gonna turn out. And for that, this is perfect. So if you want the most compact possible APS-C camera, that is great, and if you want a viewfinder for it, I can actually warmly recommend this setup. I prefer this over the Fuji X100 series, because this camera is so much smaller, lighter, and more pocketable than the Fuji camera. And also I just prefer the look and feel of this camera to the Fuji X100V. I also want to briefly mention what I use to film my POV videos when I'm out in the streets doing street photography, filming myself taking photos. I tried the GoPro Hero earlier, one of the latest versions, but I wasn't super happy with the battery life. It only lasted like an hour. While that is okay, it is not ideal. Then I came across this. This is the latest DJI Osmo Action camera, the Action 5. And I'm using a snap mount here, which I can also warmly recommend, because it's just a magnetic mount that you put one piece on the inside of your jacket or sweater, and then you just snap it like this, and you can also adjust the angle if you want to. Super nice, and it even works on my down jacket, which is pretty thick. So these magnets are like really strong. I love how fast you can mount this camera to your clothing this way. And the camera itself is just amazing. The image quality is better than anything I've seen, because it has a large sensor in here, large for being an action camera. But above all, there is one thing that makes this camera the best in the market, if you ask me, for action cameras, and that is that the battery life is amazing. It lasts almost 4 hours, at least on the settings that I use. On some settings it can last slightly shorter, but that is incredible. And I actually bought the big kit for this camera with this little nice battery compartment here with this is a charger for 3 batteries simultaneously. So this is like 12 hours of shooting in this little case. So we could basically have a big memory card in this and use it for a whole day on 3 batteries, which is amazing. I love that I can just turn on this camera and then forget it and know that everything is going to be recorded. This camera has been really reliable for me so far, and I just love it. Speaking of memory cards, some people tend to ask me about that, and I don't have any like scientific evidence or anything, but since I started with photography back in 2016, I've always been using SanDisk memory cards, and I've always been very happy with them. Some of these memory cards, like the first one I got, I used for like every day for like 6 years without any problems, any data loss or any issues whatsoever. And I've been super happy with SanDisk because they are reliable and good value for money. That's my gear that I'm going into the next year with to do street photography. And please see the description for links to all these things if you wanna check them out yourself. And see you soon again in my next video.